Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to take a look at our Mercedes-Benz, our 2017 Mercedes-Benz AMG GLE 43 after 60,000 miles on the clock. So we bought this vehicle here. By the time you're seeing the video, it'll cross over to about 60,000 miles. We bought it in January. This is my girlfriend's daily driver, as she needs something that's all-wheel drive and that's larger, that can carry her stuff, and that is a safe vehicle to drive. And this is what we decided on here. So we've had it since January. It is currently September. So we are on the 9th month of ownership already, which is crazy to think of. And we put on about 6,000 miles on the vehicle, a hair over since we bought it. And it has been fairly flawless since we bought it. There are some issues that have come up that do need some immediate attention that we will go over. But for the most part, nothing affecting performance yet. And everything has actually held up very, very nicely. So without further ado, I want to go over some of the issues that have plagued the vehicle since we've had it. And that includes popping the hood. So we'll pop the hood here. Cosmetically here, we'll go over some issues. We've got just some minor paint chipping here and there. I did do a paint correction on the vehicle when I did buy it here, but the problem with Mercedes paint is, and I ran into this with my E550 that I had, is that the paint is just the clear coat, the paint itself. It's such a high quality, thicker paint than what I'm used to with all my Mopar vehicles that it is actually quite tough to paint correct. Usually all little swirl marks, some minor scratches, that can all be taken out, no problem. But as you can see in this typical light here, there are some scratches that I just couldn't get out of this black obsidian paint. So just be mindful of that, especially if you're buying a black vehicle or a red vehicle, anything like that, that does show some of the swirl marks and scratches a little bit more than others. But for us, I looked at the vehicle. We bought it in wintertime, so I couldn't really tell from the dealership how bad it was until I got it here, and it was a lot worse than what it looks like right now. Right now, it actually looks fairly decent, even after 7 months of being washed and daily driven here. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the paint on it right now. Although again, just to remind you that this is just such a high quality paint that it can be tough to paint correct just because of the thickness of the clear coat and the thickness of the actual paint itself. But all the sensors, everything like that works. And surprisingly, all of the sensors, 360 cameras, those work perfectly in the wintertime as long as they're not snow covered. So we're going to pop the hood and go into this a little bit more. As we pop the hood here, you can see I do need to give this engine bay a little bit of a cleaning, or at least a wipe off of the engine cover here. It's been since January or February since I have cleaned the engine bay, which isn't that hard to do, surprisingly. But if you're looking at this 3-liter V6, this really cool power plant here, you can see you've got the awesome red AMG color to tell you that you have an AMG vehicle. All your electronics over here, battery charging there. Of course, dual hydraulic hood struts there. And you actually have some functional air intakes and heat extractors there as well with the scooped hood, which is pretty awesome. Just taking a look at this here, we do have some issues that need to be addressed because we have hit the 60,000 mile mark. So transmission fluid needs to be flushed, and the rear differential needs to be flushed and just put new fluid in. So that stuff needs to get done, although that's not at the top of the priority list here. Some other issues, the most expensive issues here, and I don't think we can see it without the cover off here, is that the valve timing covers are leaking. So the gaskets for those valve timing covers, there's 2 of them. Those are leaking and those need to be replaced. So that's almost a $2,000 job. It's about a $1,700 job at the dealership. And that needs to be done, as you can almost tell right there where the valve timing covers are. There is some oil leaking out of there, and that needs to be replaced essentially before it gets really cold. So when my schedule frees up here, I am going to take care of this here in October. But this vehicle has been sitting. One thing I do have to mention here, this 3-liter, even with that issue that we've had with it, this 3-liter V6 has been used since 2016, and it is still currently being used in Mercedes-Benz applications in the AMG 43 level or 53 now in some different vehicles. And it's been very nice. I would certainly buy this engine again and again because of the fact that it's not boosted a lot, and it is certainly far from its total output, and the transmission is beefed up as well. It's AMG enhanced. So this engine and transmission, the whole powertrain, can handle way more than what it already has. So I feel pretty comfortable with this engine that we'll be able to get well over 100,000 miles on it without any issues. So we're going to close this. We'll take a look underneath the vehicle. As you can see, it's been sitting for a couple days, and there are no leaks underneath the vehicle, which is awesome. And actually, the underneath of the vehicle looks good. Some things I want to touch on here. There is a little bit of rust forming on some of the arms here. And that is, quite frankly, a common Mercedes issue. My E550 had that issue as well, my 2011. Some of the arms and underneath components get fairly rusty, even the tow hitch area. But again, being a 2017, that does typically happen. My truck looked the same way, and that was a 2019. So that's basically it, though. That issue there, the valve timing covers, that doesn't, I didn't find any issues with that on the forums. So that seems to be an issue that may be just unique to us. So we will have to get that fixed. Again, we don't mind sticking money into this vehicle because it's a very safe, fast, and fun vehicle. It can do everything here, and we don't mind sticking the money into that vehicle, especially her, as she's driving it a lot more than myself because she likes all the safety features and all of the fun aspects of the car, the drivability of it here. One thing I'm worried about, typical of all air suspensions here, I had it on my Ram truck before I sold it. You know, you always worry about that air suspension when you are coming up on 100,000 miles, but we have had no issues with that yet, and it is now 2024. So 7 years here of air suspension, still going strong. No issues with that. I want to hit up the back here pretty quick and just take a look here. When we bought the car, there were some paint issues there that I had to touch up, and then it looks like almost a little rust spot here. It's either paint bubbling or rust. I have a hard time believing that's rust already. I think it's probably paint bubbling, but that issue kind of bothers me, but it doesn't bother her. So with that being said, that's all the real issues that we've had with the vehicle since we bought it, and nothing that's going to hamper performance right now or stop us from driving it until we get that valve cover, the timing cover fixed on the vehicle. But taking a look at the interior here over the course of basically 60,000 miles, I have to say, and I need to detail this interior a little bit as it's, getting a little dry and dusty in there. But the seats have held up excellent. I try to do a detail on these vehicles that we have quite frequently, just to keep the leather in good shape. But these are some of the most comfortable seats I've sat in. Very plush. The leather is true leather, and just a ton of space in this GLE 43 here. I like this in a 2017 because it uses some of the older Mercedes-Benz aspects of the interior design here. This is very similar to my E550 that I had. The steering wheel, everything is very similar to that. And this was part of the generation of Mercedes that everything lasted a very long time on it. Buttons, infotainment, even though it's not the most intuitive to use, interior materials, everything lasts a long time with these. Carbon fiber appliques, door panels, everything is very nice besides that hard plastic there. And moving into the back here, it provides more than enough back seat room for what we need. We have no children, but occasionally if we bring somebody, my parents, and put them in the back, there's more than enough room here for anybody, even up to 6'5" or whatever, 6.5 feet, if you want to put them back here because of these little leg openings here. You get heated rear seats in the vehicle, and you get a third zone of climate control back here as well, which is pretty nice with some side vents here and vents right there. And of course, you get a panoramic moonroof, which is sweet. But these rear seats, in terms of comfort, are great. The headrest for the rear, this is not real leather. This is their Mercedes-Benz textile product here. But this is a very comfortable rear seat, and I wouldn't mind spending time back there. These doors are just so nice back here, tons of elbow room, and we really haven't had any issues with the rear seat interior at all. Watch this. Soft closed doors. So you would expect that on an $83,000 vehicle when new. Of course, you've got a power lift gate, which is expected. And we do have a little bit of stuff back here right now. This is for her classroom, but it came standard with this cargo cover, so you could pull that out and cover your cargo, which I think is pretty neat, so people can't look in. Just a ton of room back here. I've got a Grand Cherokee SRT, and I would say this has more room than the Grand Cherokee SRT because the rear opening is a little bit larger. And because of the shape of the vehicle, the thighs on it, I should say, extend out a little bit wider, so you get all of this extra side room here. One thing I don't like here is that it's carpeted on the sides, so if you have a dog or if you have any sort of cargo that's a little dirty, of course it would be carpeted because it's Mercedes-Benz, but that fabric can get dirty. And that can, become sort of an issue. But we got WeatherTechs for the back here. And also, you have a full spare tire. So you've got a little bit of more storage room back here, too, with the spare tire. Which is sweet that Mercedes-Benz actually gives you that instead of the run flats. One thing I like, and this is very similar actually to my E550 as well. You have your lock and your power close for the rear lift gate as well, which is pretty sweet. What comes standard on this Mercedes here is these AMG 5-spoke wheels with two 65/45 R20 tires on there, so fairly wide. I know the new GLEs have a little bit of a wider tire on them as well, and these General G-Maxes I have actually come to like quite a bit. These were put on the vehicle when we bought it, and I have to say I'm curious to see how the winter performance is. We also have a pair of General Grabbers, I believe, on our Durango RT Tow and Go, which the winter performance is great on those. They're a little bit more of a performance tire, but I'm curious to see how these Generals hold up in the wintertime. And one other thing I want to touch on that, I haven't really seen a lot of other reviewers talk about here is the fact that because these wheels aren't staggered, or they're not as wide as, let's just say, my SRT or my parents' RT Tow and Go, you don't get all of the rock chips that you would come to expect on a vehicle like this. So there's no PPF on the bottom part, but you don't get the rock chips you would come to expect on the paint, especially back here, because the vehicle is designed like that. Now, you do get some chipping, but it's not to the point where it's turned white with rock chips. So because of that, the exterior plastics and paint on the vehicle is held up just extraordinary compared to my parents' 2021 Durango RT Tow and Go. The bottom part of the paint there looks just completely awful because of how wide the tires are and how much they kick and stick out, even being stock, kick rocks out onto the paint. So that's one thing to note there. One thing I don't like about the vehicle here, the blacked out door handles were deleted. I don't know why, because it does have the AMG Night Edition package here, but with chrome you can kind of see every little scratch on there as well. In terms of interior here, we can hop in and take a look. Just a quick little interior bit. So just turning on the vehicle, we're turning the accessory power on here. You can see you've got a nice non-touchscreen display, which I really like. So you can save your fingerprints from being on the touchscreen. You've got your different drive modes here. You've got comfort, individual, sport plus, sport, and snow mode, or slippery mode as Mercedes-Benz calls it. You've got the downhill speed control. You got manual mode, you just push. You have air suspension to raise the vehicle when you're going off-road or you're dealing in snowy conditions, which my girlfriend really likes for the snow. And you've got the car button there, which shows what mode you're in, and it can take you any sort of place you want to go in terms of the different drive modes there. Of course, you've got a little touchpad here to take you around. Got your redundant back buttons, but this touch sensitive pad here changes the channels, or it can scroll up and down. And you've got the trackpad as well to do that, which is, I like the trackpad a little bit better. So very simple. That's just a quick intuitive little infotainment explanation there. You've got all your hard buttons here. Hard button for heated seat. This didn't come with cooled seats, which I thought was very odd, and it should, to tell you the truth. But you've got all your redundant buttons for your telephone, navigation, radio, media, your car information there, mute, start call, end call, and then you've got your radio button here, on, off, and then you could dial stuff on the side. So it's a little bit older, but quite frankly, I like this infotainment system a little bit better than the newer Mercedes products. Everything is very easy to use, and it's very redundant. So the most cool thing about the vehicle here, you've got your vehicle settings, which you can change. Ambient lighting, ionization, different type of stuff there. We just have it on the solar yellow right now. And you have your vehicle settings, like I just said. 360 camera, which I'm not sure it'll turn on. This 360 camera is pretty good for the time it came out in 2017. Of course, they are better now, but this still does work, I think, fairly decent. And you could go to 180 view there, 360 view. That's, of course, for the front of the vehicle. You can go with your different views, which is cool. Mirror views, zoom in on your mirror views. Backup view. It's really interesting here how much different options that they have with all of the cameras, which I think is pretty cool. So you've got forward view with the cameras, you've got back view. It's pretty easy. It's a good gimmick, I think. You've got your consumption. This gets about 18 miles to the gallon with us driving. Got your operator's manual in there too. And then, of course, your dynamic select. So you've got your vehicle data here. You can see, what turning radius you're at, what degree you are at. engine data, which I think is cool. It's kind of like the SRT performance pages. So you've got your horsepower and torque, and of course that will turn off. You got your engine temperature and your oil temperature as well, of course, in Celsius. But that'll do it, guys, here with the interior portion. And now I want to kind of go over why we bought this vehicle. So we essentially needed this vehicle because we needed something that, A, she could reliably drive. And yes, when you think of Mercedes, you don't think of very good reliability, but we needed something that she could reliably drive and that is safe and that is larger for her classroom if she needed anything for that, and for the dog as well. And this fit our build perfectly. And for me, I wanted something that could tow. And with this vehicle, of course, you can tow 7,200 pounds with it. And I have towed my ski boat with that all in total weighs about 5,000 pounds, and it does great. And we needed something that was fun. So the AMG portion of the vehicle made up for that. So this vehicle, trying to do it all, towing, being exciting to drive, being safe, being big, and having a great interior and exterior, this vehicle did it all for us. We were looking for a Durango RT Tow and Go or a newer Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 5.7 liter Hemi V8, the L version, and they were just too expensive. So this tipped the scales with 52,000 miles, 53,000 miles. This tipped the scales at $28,000. That was it for an AMG spec 43 series GLE. And quite frankly, this has been one of the best vehicles we've owned. I would say top 3 vehicles we've owned since I have been buying vehicles or my family has owned vehicles. It is truly magnificent. You've got utility, sport, and fun all in one. And since I've owned Mercedes before, I didn't feel bad about buying a Mercedes product. I've owned them. I know what they're like. So, and I'm not the one driving this all the time. So for her, she did not mind it one bit, and she really, really enjoys the vehicle, which I'm very glad. And for me, knowing that she's safe when she's driving in the snow, in the rain, because this is a large vehicle, it weighs 5,200 pounds. When she's out there driving in inclement weather conditions, I know that she's safe, and I appreciate that a lot, especially with all the safety features on this vehicle. So at the end of the day, after 60,000 miles, this vehicle has been great. And yes, we do have to stick a little bit of money into it to keep it running. But again, that's any German performance vehicle. We knew what we were getting into when we were buying it. And we're still very happy that we purchased the vehicle. So guys, no driving portion here. You've seen those videos already. We will see you in the next episode. If you like this content, like and subscribe. There will be more of it.